Yeah, so that's what I like to do when I'm not actually out shooting photos or with my drone. I like to make short little films with special effects. That's actually a very short clip from one called The Well. You can see the full version of The Well on YouTube. So on this video today, I'm going to talk about street shots that wouldn't necessarily be my favourite or regarded as my top ones, but you still get shots that can be quite interesting. So before we go into it, I thought I'd just show you some of these photos from Belfast one of the days I was up there doing street photography. And hopefully within the next 2 months I'll arrange a trip up to Belfast, a day trip, for anyone interested for a bit of street photography. So here we go, on with the show. So this here is taken at a Christmas market in Dublin back in 2022, I think. I don't really do food type shots, but I actually like this one a lot. I like the bit of colour, the bit of action that's going on. You have all the smoke around, and I think the processing of the colours in it is quite good. Basically, I don't think it would work as a black and white shot. I think it just has a lot of colours to capture everything that's going on, and I really like it. I think it's a nice shot with a 17mm lens. Now this next shot I absolutely do love. It's very gritty. I think it works very well in black and white. However, there seems to be a lot of ongoing controversy over these type of shots. People call it poverty porn. They said, people would give out saying you shouldn't take images of people showing that they're down and out and they're having their bad times. This particular shot I was happy enough to put on my Instagram for a while because it doesn't actually show the person's clear face, so you don't really get their identity. And I don't think it's right to actually hide these type of images away because, it doesn't hide the problem. There's poverty and homelessness, and, I think we're in a position where we can do things about it, but the government doesn't really take a firm stand on it. I think, countries that aren't third world have a position and have the ability to stop this, but it's down to the people to force the governments to make sure they do the right thing, which unfortunately doesn't happen. The Bear of Belfast. This is in Kelly's Cellars in Belfast city centre on a trip up to visit a friend of mine, Neil, up there. He's actually a very nice guy, walks around with a cane. Some people find these type of shots offensive, but I always remember that shot of Johnny Cash giving the finger like that, and I actually think it makes the image, it makes it that bit more interesting. And in this case, he was happy to pose for 1 or 2 shots. This one, I didn't actually have him pose. I just, basically shot from the hip, and he just caught me at the last second, so I think that's why I enjoy it so much. Nothing too special about this one, but I still keep it in my collection. It had just been raining. This is in Dublin city centre, and it's kind of soft focus. I think it works well in the black and white. The colour didn't work as well, but basically I call it my Vivian Maier shot, just because I remember this image here, Vivian Maier, and I think the hat, I don't know what it is, the hat just reminds me of Vivian Maier. So yeah, I like this one. So once again, nothing too special about this shot. I do like it though because of the 4 different styles of clothing shown in the one image. You have the girl on the left of Asian descent. She could be wearing traditional garb, or it could be like part of a school uniform. I had never checked it was a weekday. And the woman then in the centre of the image, the white top, the middle-aged woman, she'd probably kill me if she thought I called her middle-aged if she heard it. Just wearing her normal walk around clothes in the city centre. And the 2 young men again further back. The one in the black uniform looks like maybe a barista, coffee shop worker, and then the young lad trying to wear the cool clothes, trying to look cool. Another shot in Dublin city centre. Nothing special. I do like the tones though. There's multiple shades of black, white and grey in it. You have the lead outlines of the railway tracks at the front. In the background you have old Dublin buildings mixed with new modern Dublin buildings, and you have the young African woman standing on the platform by herself, just staring into the phone. Nothing special, but I do like the shot. And once again, very quickly, just to thank you all for subscribing to the channel and supporting it, and sharing comments and feedback. So this is one of Rene's famous pub treats. These are the type of shots I take in pubs and bars when I get talking to interesting people, or I see people with interesting characters, interesting faces. This is a gentleman by the name of Colm down our local pub. He was just reading his newspaper. I did do the shot in black and white as well, but I think the colour just makes it far more interesting. The black and white, although looks good, doesn't match up with the colour. The colour is definitely a far more interesting shot in this. Nice and gritty, and he has a lovely big bushy moustache. Bushy moustaches and bushy beards look great on men in photographs. Not so good on the ladies, but they definitely look good on the men. I think it makes it very interesting, and you can add a lot of, texture to an image, especially in black and white when people have, a lot of hair. The ordinary seagull, scavengers of the sea. Who doesn't love a nice curry and chips after a night out? Obviously this seagull does. Again, nothing too special, nothing interesting, but it is becoming a part of city life these days. The birds who fly up the river, scavenging for food. This is the Temple Bar elephant. You won't find it at all unless you look very hard. It is on the cobblestones, on the street in Temple Bar, just behind the central bank, near the Badass Cafe. And why is there an elephant in Temple Bar? Well, in 1681, an elephant was brought to an enclosure in Essex Street as part of an exhibition for the Zoological Society. Unfortunately, there was a fire, the elephant panicked and it couldn't get out of its enclosure and died. This is a little tribute made by an artist unknown years later and added into the Dublin streets. Again, nothing too special about this shot. Taken in the Crown Pub, the best pub in Belfast, which is located across the road from the Europa Hotel, which is the most bombed hotel in Europe since World War II. I don't normally do these types of shots where it's a black and white image mixed with a bit of colour tint, although I do think it works well in this shot. This just happened to be a street portrait I took when I was walking down one of the back streets in Dublin. This young woman was coming out of the Peter Mark trainee studio, and I just thought she looked beautiful. In fairness, I liked her skin, her tone, her hair, and I just thought I'd make a nice portrait. So I did a street portrait on the spot for her, and I emailed her the image within 5 minutes, and she was absolutely delighted with it. Another pub trait by Renee. This gentleman's name is Alex, who has sadly passed on. It's taken down in the local pub, the White House in Baldoyle Village. Unfortunately, this corner of the pub has become synonymous with people who've passed on after sitting there. Not like immediately, but it's their favourite spot, and then they tend to pass on. And it's nicknamed now the Departure Lounge, because most of the people who used to sit there always passed on. Kind of scary when you think about it. I love this staircase in Dublin city centre near St. Stephen's Green. Anytime I'm in the city centre, I try to take shots of it. It reminds me of Henri Cartier-Bresson's photograph of this staircase. And I usually try to take shots from both angles of the staircase. I just love the lead-in lines of the handle as you go up and down the staircase. I think it looks really nice. In the past, I often used to cycle around outside County Dublin on my bicycle. A bit like Robert L. Chapman, who went around Ireland in 1913 to 1980 with a little box camera, taking photographs of the people he met and his encounters. This is at Lough Shinny in North County Dublin. I passed this little cottage and I just couldn't believe everything that was sticking there. Can you see the gentleman in the image? Very hard to see him. He's on the left hand side, about a sixth of the way in from the left. Very interesting man. Basically, he would get old pots of paints from neighbours and he would just use them and paint the cottage all different colours. And this post box, believe it or not, is a microwave on a stick. You just open the door and leave your post in it. So I got chatting to him and he invited me into his cottage and we had a little chat. And as you can imagine, the outside of the cottage was nowhere near as weird as the inside of the cottage. It's pretty much concrete floors and walls and just all types of knickknacks and bits and bobs hanging around. He's a really nice old guy. He lived there his whole life with his family, and his brothers all passed away, and he just basically lives there, and he has all types of collections of all types of weird and eccentric things. Unfortunately, when I went past again about 2 years ago, he'd obviously passed on and someone had bought the cottage and renovated it, and it just lost all character, I think. But thanks for watching this episode of Street Style. This is where I'll leave you this weekend, and hopefully I'll have something new in the next 2 weeks. Enjoy your weekend.